Wake up, buyer payer people. It's a beautiful day. Go grab yourself another cup of joe and say hello to Jim and Michelle Rhoads on the Buy Here Pay Here Morning Show. Take it away, you two.
Good morning, everyone.
Hey, welcome
from San Diego.
From sunny San Diego, the Hilton Bayfront Hotel. We're coming to you live from the Pacific Coast.
Yes.
We have a guest standing by. We're looking forward to bringing in Mr.
Bill Elizondo. We asked him to take his swim cap off, though, before we got started. But,
so
he's
this
not
morning,
wearing it.
we welcome you to the Lease Here, Pay Here
I'm going
Morning
to
Show.
go ahead and bring him in. Everyone can kind of hear him over there.
We got a lot of noise here. We got a LHPH Summit going
we're
on.
Actually in the lobby
foyer
of the summit, and we'll be broadcasting off and on all day long as there are different speakers wrap up. Jim's going to be listening and then have a couple of questions from them. So we just wanted to do a quick morning show and talk to Bill really quick and kick this day off.
Yeah.
So welcome, Bill.
Hey, well, thank you very much for having me this morning. Always wonderful to see you all.
I should prepare you in advance. Your signal, your camera signal may drop. It's on an iPhone over there. I'm not sure that
it won't drop.
And it's got a very beautiful picture.
Oh my goodness.
Well, except I see Bill in the picture myself.
Wow.
Yeah, that was uncalled for.
It was. It was.
I'm just trying to be preemptive over here, so I know he's going to jab me in a minute. So welcome, Bill. We're glad to have you here this morning. Wanted to have a chance to talk about obviously your background in leasing. Like I know some of it. Obviously, you recorded a podcast with us last year. We talked about some of that, but I think for our listeners who don't know that part of your background, you might just share how your career got started in automotive and then how it intersecting with leasing.
Sure, absolutely. So been in the business for 33 years and had a chance with Car Financial, the old Wells Fargo Financial car. We used to buy and do portfolio purchases for leasing from leasing dealers, then of course collected on those at that point in time. So it was a great opportunity to at least kind of cut my teeth a little bit into the lease here, pay here side of this business. Yeah. But the other big part of it is that being part of NIADA, I've been the Lease Here, Pay Here 20 group moderator, which has given me a great opportunity to be, give more insight and information, not only to the dealers that I'm working with, but also giving me a little bit more insight and some of the things that they're doing, the nuances, new things that they might be doing as well.
Sure.
I also work with probably now 3 or 4 of the largest lease here, pay here operators as far as consulting goes. Something similar to what you guys probably do as well, but these are specifically just lease here, pay here operators that have huge portfolios, always having something different, and teaching and training a couple of different classes that I do online, sometimes in person. Right. But it gives me those chances to kind of get a lot more lease here, pay here experience going at that point in time.
So are you doing like an exploratory meeting here at the end of this?
Yeah. So what we're doing actually here today, I'm going to be part of a roundtable. Then tomorrow, I'm going to talk about 20 group insights for lease here, pay here.
Okay.
And just lease here, pay, just 20 groups in general. And then right afterwards, we're having our own 20 group NIADA lease here, pay here group meeting that we're going to have from 1 to 6. We're going to be meeting, and then we'll go to dinner, break bread together, and then the next day we're going to have it from 12 to 8. So it's a little bit of an exploratory. We have a couple of members that are going to be here, and we're actually have a lot of member candidates. The idea of kind of working with LHPH Capital has been they really want a lot of their members and people who are in lease here, pay here to be part of 20 groups. They find it to be educational for them. And it also helps them know that, hey, these people are really in tune and wanting to try and better their business. Right. And that's what you get from a 20 group anyway. So at the end of the day, this are some opportunities that I think are going to be not just today, but in the future for all of us to be able to grow with this lease here, pay here operation.
Sure.
Excellent. Now, you've worked in both buy here, pay here, and lease here, pay here.
Yes.
So in your observation, what are the top differences between the two?
Of course, it's a lease, number one.
So what does that mean?
What that means is that in a lease, you have a certain time limit that you have that the lessor has that vehicle for them. The leasee has that vehicle for them, and the lessor is the person that's going to be leasing it to them. But at the end of the day, they can turn that car in, and within maybe 15 months or so, if they decide, hey, this is not for me, I bought a 2-door, I now have a family, I need a van. And so it gives them that chance to be able to at least turn it back in without a lot of expense. They don't have to sell it. It's not so much of a repossession. There's sometimes they have some different fees that they can pay, and they can get out of that lease, which gives them an opportunity to go ahead and break it without breaking covenants or without breaking the agreement, because it's part of the agreement at that point in time.
Yeah.
So that's to me, for the leasee, that's a big part of where their advantage is, because they're not tied to that car at that point in time. The other thing is that, that it's when you have a certain time limit nowadays, people want to get into something new every couple of years.
Well, I mean, everybody does.
Everybody does. There's not one person that doesn't want to do something like that.
Yeah.
So they want to be able to get into something that's different than what they already have. They're tired of this. So they want to get something else. So this gives them that chance to get into another. It used to be, when, Jim and I were kind of starting in this business, buy here, pay here, 2 years, you could get another car. And you know what? Everybody was happy with that. And, hey, every 2 years I'm getting another new vehicle, because they would pay off that 24-month contract and move on. Not today. Yeah. Today, most buy here, pay here, 36, 48 months, up to 60 months, kind of getting a little kind of crazy. Lease here, pay here just gives a different option and an advantage, a real tactical advantage, because there's not a lot of people that are doing it right now. And there's a lot of other benefits for the lessor on the other side. And so that's, I'll talk about that as well. The benefits for the lessor or the dealer, in this case, would be that they can pick up that car and they can kind of turn it around quicker, because in a lot of times the repossession, it's still theirs. They still have title to it. The title's under their name. So they have that chance to be able to turn it around as quickly as they can, depending on recon and whatever else the case may be, and put it right back out there. Whereas on a buy here, pay here, you might have to wait 10, 15, 20 days, maybe even have a little longer, depending on what your recourse is within, or your repossession laws are within the state that you're in. But in the lease, not so much.
Right.
So that's a big one. It's normally not included in bankruptcies. And, there's some other little nuances that really give advantages for lease here, pay here at this point in time.
Yeah. One of the things that I'm familiar with, of course, with leasing is that it's different sort of collateralization, right? Instead of having a contract per se, well, of course there is a contract, but I mean, as far as collateral goes, where a buy here, pay here dealer has got a buy here, pay here contract, and a lease, they're more likely to hold collateral as the car, right? So, or hold the car as collateral. So it's a little bit different title structure and ownership structure. And of course, we got Chad Martin and JP Bryan here to talk about the accounting side. And we know there's some nuances there, some pretty significant differences. But at the end of the day, from the dealer consumer standpoint, it's virtually the same. At least it looks that way to the consumer. And I don't know that I've seen a dealer who doesn't allow the customer to own the car at the end. Have you seen some of that?
No, I have not seen that, other than new car dealers. So the new car dealers I'm seeing that with right now, but no, lease here, pay here, no.
Right, so
they give them the chance, because on that residual, they had a chance to go ahead and buy that contract out, or that vehicle out from the dealer themselves. Which gives them, it's a great opportunity, because at the end of the day, if they loved it, they want to keep it, they can.
Right. Absolutely.
And in a lot of cases, what the dealer does is they don't actually charge finance charges. Now, I'm not saying that that's that's a best practice, but that is a practice out there. They don't charge a finance charge for the next 12 months. They say, hey, you want to buy this vehicle out? It's going to be, you have $2,000 or $3,000 left on it. We'll put these payments out, and we'll put them for 12 months, make these payments on time, and the car's yours.
Right. Good. So I know with lease here, pay here, one of the things that, of course, we got Steve Levine here today too. We'll be able to find out, because I don't know the legality. Sometimes people ask, can we call it lease to own? If we're doing lease here, pay here, would you give the customer the opportunity to own the car? Unlike if we go lease or rent a car from Enterprise Rent-A-Car, we don't have the opportunity to own it at the end. But in a lease here, pay here environment, I think virtually all dealers allow that. So I don't know if we're able to call that a lease to own.
I'm hesitant to say lease to own. Lease here, pay here, is the terminology that I use. I don't use rent to own. I don't use lease to own. I kind of keep, because I think there's a definite separation. I don't know the specifics of that. Steve Levine would be able to tell us some of those things, and or even at the end of the day, there's some other compliance people that might be able to give us some insight as far as that goes. But I would say that, at the end of the day, you've got a chance to be able to buy, and you have that residual to be able to get that vehicle. So that's a good thing. And it is kind of a lease to own.
Right.
So, I like the term,
Yeah.
but I don't use it whenever I teach classes or whenever I talk to customers or anything else at that point in time.
Well, and as you know, this is a training matter, because if I'm leasing a car to Michelle and she's got the opportunity to own it as a dealer, I'm probably going to make it easy for her to say yes to trading into another car. So she could own it,
right?
But she's more likely to agree to trade for another one's got lower miles and clean and ready to go, right?
Right.
So
Yep.
so that's part of what the ability to cycle the cars and move through them that way is really attractive in a lease here, pay here environment. So we're finding dealers are open to it. I think in today's high car cost, it's really attractive, and we don't need to get into all the mechanics of that. But I think when we look at the numbers, and we've also been working with the folks at LHPH to get inside some numbers that I wanted for comparative purposes, and we don't need to get there today, but I can just tell you the numbers are super favorable for leasing,
sure. The other advantage, and didn't talk too much about this, what are we missing right now? The number of vehicles that are out there and available to us, and, possibly with, everything else that's going on in our, world today, we might not have a lot of vehicles in the near future.
Right.
These can be a better chance to recycle, because as a lease, like you just said, and this is what, made me think a little bit more about that, just reminded me of it. You have that chance to get that vehicle back and then release it again.
Mm-hmm.
So, it gives another value to somebody else, and, something to somebody's going to be a little, and maybe a little bit less that you might lease it at that point in time.
Right.
But again, it gives an advantage to a customer or an individual who's going to come and lease from you at that point.
Sure. Yeah, love it. We've I've been around leasing myself for a big part of my automotive career, and first as a salesperson, sales manager in the franchise stores, and helping customers, decide about a lease, and then have managed stores that did leasing, partly because of the sales tax advantage. I met some other dealers here from states where sales tax is quite high, and so that often tilts the scale, because it makes it really painful for dealers to fund a buy here, pay here contract and have to cough up all that sales tax
absolutely
on the front end. Mm-hmm. So it's among the things that we see that kind of helps dealers, find their way to that. But I just think as dealers get more informed about the opportunity that is leasing, I think you'll see more and more people, moving to that model, because it really has many of the same advantages.
I heard at the NIADA, and I didn't get a chance because I had something else that was going on right at the exact same time. But at NIADA's conference, our convention that we had in June, they said they had a packed house. Oh, yeah. There's a lot more people that are really wanting to understand this part of it. And I think, with the advantage of lease here, pay here capital and some of the other capital providers that are here today, these are individuals that are getting into and are seeing the value of this.
Sure.
And I said for years, people used to say, oh, it's, there's not enough money out there. That's the biggest problem. Yes, it is a problem. I agree. But when I started 33 years ago, there wasn't a lot of money for buy here, pay here dealers either.
Right.
It was tough to find that money then. Now, I'm not saying that I really wanted to kind of go that same cycle, but I think there's an advantage. And, with our market today, it definitely is, it's a little bit tougher.
Yeah. But
this gives it another opportunity, another chance to be able to do some additional business. And you don't have to necessarily change your pricing if you have a retail lot or you're doing some type of business as far as retail goes. Right. Leasing is an easy walk into at that point in time as well. Sure. And that's why they even have I'll even talk Paul Sansone and DCL. Mm-hmm. They've got a good program as well for a lot of the franchise dealers that are getting into this business as well, and they see that opportunity because they don't have to reprice the car as a buy here, pay here car. And you have to put that dollar amount so high. Right. You can put it as about the same amount, and then there's other opportunities to be able to make money on the actual lease agreement that you have at that point in time as well.
Yeah, I think we're obviously not here to sell leasing.
No,
I came because I heard there were donuts. I mean, that's what brought me to the
great donut. And you should try this breakfast that they have out here. Holy cow!
Yeah. So we're not here to sell leasing as much as we're here to make sure people are aware of that option, because I think, especially if I'm a new dealer and I could avoid setting up a related finance company, right? All of the administrative costs and direct costs of tax returns and all the stuff that you have that extra company. So it's something that dealers should be aware of. It could be something that makes a lot of sense for them.
It's another tool in their tool belt, right? So
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is probably the best and easiest one that I can say, because you have a chance to be able to do this if you have the software, right? You got to have the right software to be able to get that done and get that accomplished. But if you do, and you have that availability, this is almost a no-brainer for you to be able to get into this, because it's a great advantage for you as a dealer or as an individual that's going to do business with other with customers that are going to come and do a lease from you at that point in time.
Right. One of the other interesting things that's come out of the numbers that we worked with is that I'm seeing for the first time in a different way is that not only does a buy here, pay here dealer typically need to set up a related finance company if they're doing any kind of volume, unless they're carrying some losses for another business, they're going to have a related finance company. Right. And so one of the things we've been looking at and studying that is that, a buy here, pay here dealer experiences a big part of their income in the first 12 months in that contract, right? So they got all that, they earn more of their simple interest on the front end. Obviously, they've got the markup on the car to begin with. And so they're very front loaded on income. Right. And so that obviously hurts us on income tax. And while there are strategies, we still have the biggest part of our income early. And so it's just spread differently in leasing. So I just think it's among the things that we want to make sure people are aware of, right? And that they can really break that down and make a judgment for themselves. Oh, absolutely. Right. And NIADA is actually very much behind, talking to and educating individuals about leasing. Mm-hmm. Again, even from the NIADA side, we don't sell. Right. That's not our product, and that's not what we do. We give you insight and information and education, because at the end, at the biggest part of what we try to accomplish within all of our groups and all of our teachings and trainings is we're a nonprofit, and as a nonprofit, everybody's going to benefit from the information and the insight that we can give to you. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of years that we have that offer that chance to be able to learn from us. Yeah, and I would just say too, we've obviously we're here as guests of the folks at LHPH Capital, right? And so their summit is outstanding. This facility is wonderful. I mean, it's such a nice place to be able to come and hang out. The folks at LHPH are just. They're top notch. Well, really and you guys, you offer so many different things, and there's so many similarities to buy here, pay here, and lease here, pay here. Mm-hmm. And this is why, even in my 20 groups, we have lease here, pay here's that dealers that are part of buy here, pay here groups. Biggest majority of the group is buy here, pay here, but we also have a lease here, pay here group. The difference is that a lease here, pay here, we're going to speak directly about leasing and a lot of the nuances of what the advantages are, and go into the composite part of that. In a buy here, pay here, it's a little bit skewed, but at the end of the day, it's very much similar. The same thing. Yes. Collections, sales, inventory, a lot of the operation part of it, and then of course your people. People are going to be the same people. They're going to be the same people. Might just have a little bit of a different talk track. That's exactly right. That's it. Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're going to have to say, hey, will you lease this vehicle from me versus you bought this vehicle from me? Yes. So that's entirely possible, as we know, to help the consumer get comfortable with it. There's a lot of advantages for the consumer. We just have to help them understand what those are. That's right. And and every consumer is going to always be a little bit nervous about, what is this? What? Yeah. So you need to explain a little bit more, because they're not used to it. They go to a buy here, pay here, and they understand that part of it. Sure. Lease here, pay here, not so much. Right. So it's definitely a learning curve at that point in time. If it's been my experience as a former dealer manager in that space, if I told the customer, look, because of leasing, I can let you into the car with a little less down payment, they're all in. Oh yeah, sure. I love leasing. I'm in. Done. Yeah. So it's part of the fun of it. But I think we've covered the parts that we wanted to cover today. We appreciate you making time to come and chat with us. Hey, thank you so much. It's kind of fun. We can hear the bustle of the oh my goodness, they're a little loud over there. They are. We'll be starting at the top of the hour. Yes. And so we'll be back here in about an hour and a half. Yeah. And I would just wonderful. Thank you so much again. As always, so nice to see you all. You too. Great. And Michelle always looks so wonderful. Don't you? Yeah. And then I'm just there. Yeah. No, that's what I get everywhere I go. You look good too. Yeah. Thank you. It just seems a little creepy. Yeah. So can I just remind our listeners that today's image of Bill was brought to you by iPhone, and and it looks lovely. And actually our image is brought to you by a Mac. And you wouldn't see any of it if it weren't for the hotspot signal of the Android. That's true. That's absolutely true. All right, everybody. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. And Bill, thank you. We'll be seeing you all day long. I'm going to throw you
Backstage
Look at that.
for just a
Tossed him right
second.
out
I
of
know,
broadcast.
tossed him right out of the broadcast. I hope you all have a fantastic day. Keep tuned. We'll be coming on and off all day long with different speakers that are here for the conference. And I hope you guys have a great day. And we will see you in just a little bit. Thanks so much for joining us.
Have a good one.